And this is where we get to say a really beautiful morning to you who is listening, to you who's going about your daily activity but still tuned in to Women Radio 91.7. Good morning to you. Welcome to a fresh new week. That is exactly what it is, a fresh new day. It is Monday, the 6th day of May 2024. I am so glad to get to welcome you back for another edition, of course, another week of getting to review the national dailies, of getting to know exactly what is happening in our country, and also get to prefer solutions as well as concerned citizens. So, welcome to the newspaper review right here on Women Radio 91.7. My name is Miracle Phillip, and it is always a pleasure to get to do this with you every weekdays from 7:30 all the way till 8:30. And yes, I don't get to do this alone. Of course, we have the company of our very able, intellectual, and sound newspaper analysts who get to join us on the program. But before we go any further, I'd like to know, hope you're doing very well. Hope your week is starting off on a very good note. And yes, I know there would be that case of piled up work, piled up assignments, like, there were things that you needed to do that you were not able to complete in the course of last week or during the weekend. But in spite of all the work, I hope you were able to rest and take out time to relax and spend time with family as well. Well, it's a fresh week and you have to come in fresh. Yes, if anybody got you angry in the course of the weekend, just push that one aside, okay? Yes, and yeah, don't be went on the break doesn't mean that there was not many things on the news. There were a lot of news details, a lot of trends in the course of the weekend, a lot of people jumping on their keypads and talking about what the government should do and what the government shouldn't do. And yeah, of course, on talking about a very fresh Monday morning, the Monday came quite fresh with the rain. Yes. Of course, we've had to like say rain should be coming already, and now we're gradually transcending into the season. I mean, the rainy season, but I mean, looks like it gets to shock us every morning. We're glad that it wasn't exactly heavy, and I wonder if it was really, really heavy on your end. But if it wasn't, well, it's okay. But whatever the case, we know that it definitely was raining showers, and we've had to just get to adjust to it. So I hope that you're getting yourself your jackets or your sweaters or whatever thing you have so that you get yourself really set for the season. So once again, welcome our newspaper review family. This is Nigeria's first and only radio station for women and their families. And yes, we are unapologetically for women. So, in the course of newspaper review, we'll have a newspaper analyst join us as well as get to take a look at what headlines are popping on the various national dailies this morning. Just in case you're not able to go over, to go check out the papers, you can get to check it out online and read extensively on the details on the various national dailies. You can also be part of the conversation this morning by joining in via our phone line 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. You can equally send an SMS or a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6537. We're currently live on our YouTube and also our Facebook page as well this morning. But then do well to follow us across our social media handles. We're talking about Facebook, X, Twitter. Of course, I said X, yes. We've not gotten over Twitter, but it is X on Instagram as well as YouTube. That is WFM 917. And just to also let you know that I said yesterday, right here, Women Radio did put together something really interesting, a sort of like a revelation, a documentary. And it was actually a conference that I held on air right here on Women Radio as at 12 noon yesterday. But I mean, even if you did miss out on that particular conference, which was a very very incisive one. You could get to also get all the details on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. We're talking about the fact that, we put out this conference and this meeting as an effort to protect the rights of women and girls, as well as to demand for accountability. So, Women Radio did launch the documentary of a 24-year-old fellow of the Women Radio Center and a freelance journalist, Ramatu, who put together something really insightful and interesting, but also a debilitating one at that, to think that such things happen in society. And she actually did all the work to uncover the 5,000 naira illegal abortion carried out on minors in Jos by Dr. Ali Madida, an unlicensed doctor. And it was really revealing. You need to check out that documentary. It is on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook, on our Instagram. You can check that out. You can get to watch it and get all the full details of that. And we did have a host of amazing individuals who got to join in for that press conference as it yesterday. Do well to follow us on our social media handles and get to watch this and, be informed as well about, the state of things around you. You could be in your Jos and you didn't know that this is something that happens. Well, get to check that out on our social media handles. Okay. So we will take a look at the various national dailies this morning, and we'll start off with the Punch newspaper. And what will you find on Punch? The first headline right here: Tinubu to get ministers Q1 assessment report. LP fumes as NLC appoints interim chairman for Gombe. Federal government to review law criminalizing suicide attempts. Edo orders illegal miners to vacate forests. Government warns drivers of state owned vehicles against cash collection. And here we have on the Vanguard newspaper this morning: economic hardship, massive contingency withdrawals hit micro pension funds. Equity investors position ahead of dividend earnings gain 811 billion naira. Kidnappers sleep off after abducting pastor's wife, others in Ondo. Excessive heat causing increase in death rates at work. This is coming from the NSITF official. Family petitions IG over alleged invasion of land grabbers in Ogun community. The Guardian newspaper: EFCC insists on prosecuting Matawale over alleged 70 billion naira fraud. World Press Freedom Day: federal government pledges to provide unfettered access to journalists. Suspension drama: court stops IGP, others from inviting, arresting Ganduje, APC ward executives. Federal government set to increase gas supply to domestic market with 3 projects ready for commissioning. This is coming from the presidency. Emefiele Omoile trial stalled over additional documents from EFCC. The Daily Trust newspaper now, and what will you find? Family accuses military officer in Kanu of killing son. Niger Air Force launches probe. NDLEA smashes syndicate, arrests 5 members. Inmate serving 21-year jail term rearrested after escape in Edo. 19-year-old charged with burglary. 5 women arrested for stripping another naked, uploading video on social media. That's what you find on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And now we move over to the Nation newspaper. Shatima in Dallas for US Africa Business Summit. Rise in non performing loans. Stunted manufacturing worrisome. Tinubu's son, Sheyi, on Chaguri board, a conflict of interest, says Atiku. Minister confident government investment in health will improve Nigerians' lives. IMF, tough time ahead for borrowers despite disinflation. Now we take a look at this day newspaper this morning. And what will you find? NECO unveils digitalization recruitment of exam supervisors. Report over $2.6 billion illicit funds funneled into U.S. real estate from other countries. NSA fan move to curb graft. Delays for international passengers at nation's airports. Centers of Excellence, federal government vows to delist non-performing centers. SARAP sues governors, minister over failure to account for alleged 5.9 trillion naira, 4.6 billion dollars loans. And of course, we get to see that, Syrup is always in the business of, holding governments and, top political office holders accountable for, their responsibilities. I get to see, oftentimes, you get to see Syrup write letters, call for explanations and all of that. And we get to see this particular one go on as well. And this time around, we have pen pushing. African Development Bank to partner Ogun State on special agro-industrial processing zone. Police have transferred me to Abuja from Lagos. Detained journalist Ojuku cries out. So these are all you would find on the various national dailies this morning, right here. We'll get to share this with you. This is off for today, the 6th day of May 2024. And these are all that you would find on the headlines. So do well to actually join in and be part of the conversation. Yes, you can do that via 07000 917 917. You can equally send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6531. That's how we get to do it this morning. So we will actually be reviewing some of our national dailies with our newspaper analyst who will be joining us shortly. But also we get to receive your comments and your contributions concerning any of the headlines that we've put out this morning. Do well to grab any copy of your choice newspapers and get to read them extensively right here, and then also get to share it with us as well. I mean, bring the conversations forward right here on the newspaper review. All right, I think we have some comments, reacting to some of the trending headlines, but let's not also forget the phone line is 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. Those are the That is the line for you to reach us on. Also, you get to send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, so let's take a look at this particular one this morning. This here is coming from Mayor from all the way from Ikotun. Martin Zura actually says, "Good morning, good people of the press. Many of us did not understand when President Tinubu promised Nigerians renewed hope before the election. He told Nigerians that he, Tinubu, will continue where Buhari stopped. If I may ask, where did Buhari stop? Is it a positive way or a negative way? You and I should know better. So, Mr. Tinubu came to add more for Nigerians and inclusive of hardship. So he's here to renew Mr. Buhari's agenda and to add more. Rice is currently at 35K under Buhari, but today the same rice is now 80K under Tinubu. That is renewed hope. Well, thank you very much for your message this morning. We have this one here. This is coming from Olushoga Ajayi, all the way from Adonline Ikorodu. Says, Labour should be fighting for government to fund affordable housing, healthcare, transportation, and education for us all, not being fixated on pricing wage like this. Realistically speaking, it shouldn't be less than 100K. Anything below 100,000 naira should not be acceptable. Thank you very much, Olushoga Ajayi, for your contribution this morning. Let's get to hear from you. 07000 You can equally send a text message or a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. Sometime last week, we actually got talking on, asking Nigerians about the state of things. We're getting fuel products. I hope that, the situation is a bit different of recent, although during the weekend and also I think this morning as well, I observed some people still saying, that the prices of transportation has not reduced. Some, bike men and also some drivers saying that they were not able to get fuel, or they were able to get fuel as well, but the rush of getting it has still not increased. The queues have not reduced. I hope to get to hear from you whether this is the state of thing in your area. Are you still getting to buy fuel at a very increased range, 800 or 1,200 or 1,500, as the case may be? I would also like to get to hear, what you have to say concerning this, whether it's a different situation in your area or it has improved and, everything has gone back to normalcy. I'd like to hear that from you. But of course, I'll bring forward this particular one. This is a story off from the pen pushing newspaper. Yes, the Nigerian police force has moved detained journalist Daniel Ojuku to the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center, NPFNCC, in NCCC in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, who was earlier held incommunicado at the State Criminal Investigation Department, PANTI, in Lagos since Wednesday. Now, according to Pen Pushing, they reported that Ojuku, a journalist with the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, FIJ, has been incommunicado at the State Criminal Investigation Department, PANTI, in Lagos, where he was kept. In his first communication with the outside world since he was detained on Wednesday, confirmed he had been moved to Abuja. Interesting. So he has actually come out to confirm this, and he did make that confirmation on a Sunday morning. Also, Pen Pushing further reported that the reporter who went missing on Wednesday, with his phone numbers switched off and whereabouts unknown to colleagues, family, and friends, said he arrived in Abuja on Sunday morning and has been taken to a cell for interrogation. Of course, the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, recalled on Thursday, made a missing person report at the police stations in the areas where he was headed, while on Friday, a private detective hired by the foundation tracked the reporter's phone's last active location to an address in Isheri, Olofin, in Lagos State. It also reports that it's recalled that in the similar vein, in March, the same Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center invited and grilled the chairperson of the foundation's board of trustees, Buki Shonibare, in Abuja, during which they mentioned a story authored by Ujuku. Now, the story revealed that the senior special assistant to the former President Muhammadu Buhari on sustainable development goals, Adejoke Orelope, paid 147 million naira to a restaurant for the construction of classrooms in Lagos State. Now, Pen Pushing actually reports that the force public relations officer police, Speak Muyiwa Adejobi, confirmed on Sunday that the Ojukwu was arrested by the intelligence response team of the Inspector General of Police based on a petition written against him. The police spokesperson added that the head of the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center confirmed to him that the journalist was accused of violating the Cybercrime Prohibition Act of 2015. Further reporting that the Cybercrime Act, a known law used to prosecute journalists and media houses in Nigeria, as well as some sections of the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, for broadcast stations. So, I mean, this petition written against him and now his detention, and getting to also receive this sort of story at a time where, we're getting to commemorate the World Press Freedom Day. I mean, it tells you a whole lot about, exactly the state of press freedom in Nigeria, how free exactly exactly our journalists to go about their daily activities, obtaining news stories without a fear of being, you know, harassed or being detained or being imprisoned for doing their jobs. Well, these are conversations that we get to have right here on the radio. But also, let's take a look at the fact that, the Tinubu administration is set to receive a report on the performance status of the federal government ministries, departments, and agencies for the first quarter of 2024. And this is all from the Punch newspaper. So the presidency is actually sourcing with knowledge of the developments, saying that the report will form the basis of the president's assessment of his ministers. Of course, the president has had to work with his ministers. So far, so good. And yes, this month of May, the 29th of May is going to be 1 year of, this current administration in office. And one would say, well, it's a step in the right direction for these sort of reports to be analyzed, for the presidency to be assessed, more than the fact that, the presidency is going to be assessed by the people. Of course, I'm definitely throwing this question now to us who are listening. Exactly how do you rate this government so far? What is the progress report? Having also, I remember that, when the presidency, when this administration came into office, there were questions about what caliber of people were going to make up his cabinet, what caliber of people were going to work hand in hand with him. And I remember that period, a lot of, of course, we also engaged that as well, looking at the caliber of individuals that were put in place as his ministers, as his special advisors, wanting to know how well will the presidency work with these people hand in hand to push forward the what we know as the renewed hope agenda of the administration. And so far so good. It would be important for us to also get to look at this and ask ourselves the question of, so far, what has this minister done as the Minister of Works, as the Minister of Interior, as the Minister of Women Affairs? What have they done for the different departments, for the different, ministries that they've had to handle? What have the progress reports been so far? Of course, I know that certain people would say it's too early, Miracle, for us to begin to ask these sort of questions. But is it too early for us to begin to demand? Of course, it's not too early for us to begin to demand. There's always a step in the right direction of stopping, and getting to access. What have we done in the past 1 year? What have we done as ministers? What have we done as a presidency? How have we collaborated with the presidency to ensure that, some of these, the policies of the presidency have been aligned with, and also how have we been able to connect the presidency to the grassroots levels as well? Some of all these questions are things that, of course, you and I would want to get to hear from the presidency and get to know exactly what you're doing. But from your own observation as well, what do you think, has been the progress report so far of the various ministers that we've had on board? Being that there's also going to be the report that the president also expects. Now, equally, there had been actually circulations of rumors about a possible sack, because of course the presidency would be reviewing the activities and the performances of some of the ministers. But, there have also been speculations that those are only rumors and really, really far from the truth. But then also the president's special advisor, we noted that this actually coming off from the Punch newspaper on April 8th of 2024, the president's special advisor on policy coordination, Mrs. Hadiza Bala Usman, who heads the Central Delivery Coordination Unit, affirmed that the CDCU had received reports from at least 20 of the 35 ministries. She explained that the quarter one assessment report will be a product of a joint effort of the ministers, the citizens, and industry experts. And, speaking on this, she said our submission is for the first quarter. So the first quarter has just ended and we have initiated the assessment process. The ministers have all been asked to submit their performance based on the deliverables. She asserted that ministers will be assessed based on what is out there in the public space. They would write to say, based on every deliverable you have given me, this is what I have done within the first quarter of the year. I'm making use, of course, of the Citizens Delivery Tracker app. Nigerians will also say, this is what we've seen the ministers do and they will aggregate it. She equally reviewed that the ministers have all been asked to submit what they've done in the first quarter. They have received about 20 submissions from 20 ministries, and also expecting even more. I guess that this is actually something that one would say, yes, it is obtainable in every institution and even the presidency as well. It's important to look back and ask yourself, as an organization, what have we done? What is supposed to be, improved upon? And these are the reasons why we have these conversations right here. So I'd like to know from you, on your opinion, what do you think that the government have been able to do so far, working hand in hand with the caliber of cabinets that he's had on board? One would say, well, we didn't choose his cabinet members, he chose them. So, I mean, we should be expecting this or that from them. But let's get to hear from you this morning. 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. You can equally send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6537. All right, let's take a look at this particular message here. This one says, this is coming from Rosanjay Olawale from Alakwere. It says, good morning, dear presenter. It's a hypocritical and wicked world we are living in, as the world powers fail to take action against Israel for the genocide in Gaza, which gives Israel the gut to do what it likes by shutting down Al Jazeera that's reporting the atrocities committed on daily basis. Unfortunately for Israel, TRT and other media organizations will continue to report the evils committed by the acclaimed God's own country, accompanying or occupying Palestine illegally and brutally. Injustice is not just a problem in Nigeria, it's a world thing. Bad followers will never produce good leaders. Nigeria will survive. And Allah bless Nigeria. Thank you so much, Rosanjay, for your comment this morning. 07000 917 917. We have a call here. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, please, you do want to call us back so that we can hear you clearly. Believe it's a network issue. 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. You can equally send an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miracle. Good morning, our listeners.
Good morning to you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is L. Kennedy Victor, calling from Ibu.
All right. Thank you very much for joining L. Kennedy.
Oh, thank you very much, my dear. I appreciate the good work that you are doing and your station is doing also. And I want to talk about the 1 year in office. But if I talk about it, if I tell you what I know about it, your station, I myself may be calling in DSS dungeon,
Well, you have to
which I
regulate
don't.
you just regulate the language you
Yeah,
use, okay?
yeah. That's why, because I have not this ability to embellish it, so I will not talk about it.
Mm,
Actually, this is the reason why I quit journalism. You understand?
mm,
So, what I want to advise the journalists and the media, that their member is being held. What is his sin? How are they fighting? Do they have a body? Do they have a body that can fight for injustice over the member that was, even that thing was not even arrested, it was kidnapped, adopted without knowing where he is, until they find out where he is. You understand? So what I'm trying to let us know, that let the people in media have a formidable backup and force to fight for the rights of their people. Because if Ojukwu today, it could be Bola tomorrow or Tani next tomorrow. So this thing comes around, and we will find out that any of you who have gone into investigative journalism seriously to bring out something from the freedom of information bill, you will be having issues. In as much as you are embarking on that, you must have an issue with the government people. Therefore, let the media come together and find a way around that thing so that you will not be kidnapped, abducted, or killed. You understand? Thank you very much, and God bless. Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you very much for joining us, El Kennedy, this morning, raising a very important point right there. We really do appreciate your contribution. Okay, 07000 917. That is the number to join in this morning through our phone line. But you can do well to also drop an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0703-175-6537. All right. This morning we're being joined by our analyst, Nkechi Emmanuel Lade. Glad to have you, Sage Nell. Good morning.
Good morning, Miracle. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning to our newspaper review family.
It's always a pleasure to have you right here on the newspaper review. Also, we have Adeolu Adeyemi who's joining us this morning. Good morning to you, Adeyemi.
Morning, Miracle. Good morning, Nkechi. Glad to see you.
All right. So we've actually been looking at some of the national dailies, the various headlines across board, and we could actually see from the Punch newspaper, that Tinubu is set to get the minister's quarter 1 assessment report, and they're concerned about exactly what is expected from these ministers, what exactly have they done so far. I know that the presidency is going to look into this and have these assessments and check back in time, especially as his administration is approaching its 1 year in office. But then I would like to put this one to you, Adeyemi Adeolu. What exactly do you think of these ministers so far? Because I mean, we Nigerians were not the ones who chose his cabinet. He chose them owing to the fact that he could trust their ability to be able to cooperate with him and ensure that his agenda for his administration is followed to the later. So what do you think about so far what the ministers have done and performed? Adeyemi, kindly unmute your mic. All right.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, talking about the performance of the ministers so far in Tinubu administration. Well, based on what is on ground before they came in and the state of the economy, we cannot really totally say that they have not been up and going. But they have not really gotten to that eye that we all are expecting. And looking at the assessment that the president is asking for at the moment, from there we all will be able to see, because people will criticize, we say a lot of things that they have not, but let's be honest with ourselves. With the situation in the country, what can we say about them? What is it that they can be able to do, especially knowing that the economy has been run aground? But as it is, to some extent, they have done. When you look at Umani, that's the Minister for Works, he's doing fantastically well. Looking at the Minister for Finance, all of them are working, let's be honest with ourselves. But the truth is that they are not where we expect them to be because we are still suffering. That's the honest truth. Whether we like it or not, Nigerians are still struggling and suffering. And based on that, we cannot totally say they have performed well. That's the honest truth. So let's wait and see what their scorecard is going to be like. And on that, let's see if the president is going to take some measures, maybe perhaps to retain or to let go of those who have not really performed optimally.
Mm.
So let's keep watching.
All right. And I also thank you very much, Adeyemi, for your input. I would like to also reach out to Signal right now. Signal, do you see a possible sack coming up just after the assessment of the ministers? Is this something you see to be something that could actually happen?
So I don't necessarily see it happening
Mm,
because even if they are sacked, the question will be on what premise? Why are they? What's the basics for sacking them?
mm,
That would be my own question, and maybe a few others.
mm,
This is because the ministers are they they cannot minister to something that doesn't exist.
mm,
As far as I'm concerned, there are basic foundational things that we haven't done, and this leadership hasn't put into proper place at this time. Maybe they are still planning to put it, maybe they will announce it soon. But I continue to ring and continue to reiterate some of the things I believe are core foundational things that we should be concentrating on as a country. So when you put ministers, they are like your support towards a way to, and they are supposed to support a vision that you have. So in terms of, oh, should they be sacked? To the best of my knowledge, I know that the ministers are doing what is in line with the presidency's and this current leadership vision the best way they can. They are trying to move Nigeria one step at a time forward. Well, thank God for the other ones that have been caught, the ones that are trying to, well, that have been ruining, not even are trying to have been ruining, but it only just got discovered in person of Yaya Bello and co, the other ones as well, the other lady. So for me, the as to answer your question, I don't necessarily see any sack. Maybe there's something, maybe there's a minister not doing something in alignment with the vision.
mm,
I'm personally not aware, but I know that ministers can only work with what is on ground. They're only here to support. They're not the vision casters in quotes. They are here
mm,
to support what has been placed in front of them
mm,
and so a vision. They are supposed to follow and move the vision towards where the leader is saying, this is where I see it. Just
mm.
that they're supposed to then now function within their expertise in their own, what I would say, core departments. So that would be my response.
All right. Thank you very much, Sage, now for your response to that particular question. Now, also assessing it, the current presidency will be marking 1 year in office by the 29th day of May 2024. Now, Adeyemi, just as Sage now has said, these cabinet members get to move in line with the vision that has been set by the administration. You assessing, I mean, it's not up to 1 year, and some people would say it might be too early to assess this administration. But let's not forget that citizens have to bear the brunt of whatever policies are being made, and hope to see, that the economy and their social well-being gets a lot more better, even as they may have some grandiose vision and renewed hope agenda with steps and goals on how to achieve them. But so far, judging, what can you actually say about the present administration and its collaboration with its ministers?
Oh, well, so far, when you look at what has been happening within and around the economy, like I said earlier, the ministers, yes, they have been working, but the truth of the matter is that the effect, we have not really feel it that much. But however, when you look at it holistically, you'll see that the government is trying everything possible to make things happen. But the only thing I will ask of the government as it is for a decisive action.
Mm,
You know, all that has been happening, if really, really, really we will really want to achieve, they want to achieve the goal that they have set before themselves concerning this great country, they have to be decisive, and certain actions has to be taken on those people who we all believe are the ones sabotaging everything that is happening in this country. Like we have been saying over the time, you see, there is no way we will look away from um, the business elites of this great nation. When it comes to the economy of this nation, there is no way we look away from them. The government has to be firm when it comes to certain decision that has to do with these people. And talking about the insecurity as well, which we know that has crippled most of the economy, particularly produce that are coming in from the northern part of the country, which has also, uh, send bad signals to investors who probably might have come into Nigeria to invest one way or the other. But the government, that's why I said they need to take decisive action.
Mm.
It is important if they are able to do that. I tell you that things will begin to work in line to the desires of the ordinary Nigerians.
Mm. Well, thank you very much, Adeyemi. I'd actually like to look across to, exactly some of the deliverables that are actually expected of some of the ministers right here. And, looking at that of the Minister of Power, Petroleum Resources, Solid Minerals, and Steel Development, tasked with unlocking energy and natural resources for sustainable development along 27 deliverables and 130 indicators. For the minister or the ministries of Interior, Police Affairs, and Defense, assessed it would assessed on 6 deliverables and 65 KPIs, including registering at least 88,000 inmates with national identity numbers. Now, there's also the target to ensure that there's a production of at least 1.4 million barrels of crude oil daily. This is under the Ministries of Power, Petroleum Resources, Solid Minerals, and Steel Development. Other priority areas as well, such as strengthening national security for peace and prosperity. Also boosting agriculture to achieve food security, which has also been a major talking point, considering the inflation in food prices as well. Enhancing infrastructure and transportation. We look at this in the area of, how many of our roads are, motorable, and in such ways that how do they reduce the accidents on the road and the transportation also of food products and persons across different states. There's also the focus on education, health, and social investment. All of these, I think that, we get to see. And I know that, by the time it's 1 year, Nigerians would really be looking forward to a comprehensive report from the administration. In as much as, we could say, yes, they've been trying their best as well, adjusting to the times, adjusting with the administration, taking off from, the past administration and what it's done so far. But these are still conversations that will continue to be ongoing right here on Women Radio and also across Nigeria. Well, if you've just tuned in, this is Women Radio 91.7 and it is the newspaper review. It is 40 minutes after the hour of 8 and I am Miracle Philip. I'm being joined by our newspaper analysts. We have Nkechi Emmanuel Layode as well as Adeyemi Adeolu. Now we have a comment right here, and I'll read this one. This is coming from Barrister Ugo Osuji, all the way from Festac. Says, "Good morning, WFM Miracle, and our analysts, Sage Nell and Adeyemi. Federal government to review laws criminalizing suicide. But is suicide a crime in the first instance? Killing of oneself? Query, was philosopher Albert Cadmus wrong to say that when life becomes a torture and existence has lost its essence, that man should resort to suicide? Given hardships in the land, are many Nigerians not mentally sick, which could lead to suicide? Not occasioned by the federal and subnational government. Darkness in the land, food inflations, and electricity tariff hikes all are ingredients of a suicidal insomnia. On the Lagos Calabar coastal route and its copper plants of destruction of houses and now telecom service providers complaining about marine cables, barring the fact that Tinubu's son Sheyi is a member of the sugary construction company. Is it not a conflict of interest? A country where men slumber, women and slumber, where men slumber, women and surrender. Hence, bad government policies cannot be challenged either by protestations or otherwise. Labor leaders asking for unnecessary new minimum wage of 615,000, nursing a champagne appetite for a beer income. Isn't that a utopia? May Allah save our republic. Amen. Barrister Ugo Osuji from Vesak. Thank you very much for your comment this morning, Barrister Ugo Osuji. And also, we'll take a look at this one this year from the Punch newspaper. It says the federal government to review law criminalizing suicide attempts. Now, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, San has promised a review of the law criminalizing suicide attempts in the country. Now, he gave the promise when he received a delegation from the ASIDO Foundation, a non governmental organization promoting mental health advocacy and reforms. This was disclosed in a statement made available to newsmen in Abuja on Sunday by the Special Advisor to the President on Communications and Publicity, Office of the AGF, Kamaruddin Ogundele. According to the AGF, health was one of the priority areas of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He added that the law is something we have to take a second look at, especially where it is established that the offenders are not in the right state of mind. What the offenders need is pity, treatment, and love to rid society of this kind of situation. But whatever we do is not binding on the state. So I would take the case to the body of the Attorney General. This was actually stated from by Fagbemi, and he also promised to take up the issues around mental health act with his colleagues in the Federal Ministry of Health. Now, I'll take this to you, Sage. Now, we know that mental health is something that has recently began to garner a lot of conversation in Nigeria. I mean, people are beginning to be more aware of their emotions, of, how their surroundings and everywhere affects them. And we cannot leave out the fact that, equally government policies and how they affect citizens have a way of also telling on their mental health as well, has a way of affecting their productivity at work today. But I mean, looking at the fact that, the federal government is seeking to review the law criminalizing suicide attempts. In the first place, should suicide be criminalized? Sagino, I'd like to hear from you.
So, I do not think so. I do not think it should be criminalized. In fact, in the past few days, I have been reviewing. There's a particular, I can't remember her name now, but this lady who was a bank, I think she was one of the top marketing executives in the bank who committed suicide just this year. And I've been reviewing, just research has just been coming to my mind a lot, and I want to just do some investigation in that regard. But our letter speaks out. I will never forget the part of our letter because I reviewed the case extensively. We talked about it. The part where she said the future looks bleak and all that, for those who I can't remember her name, sorry, for those who are not connected.
I think I remember she wrote something down.
Yeah, she wrote a letter. She killed herself at a banking hall. I don't want to call the brand name and all that. So I'm saying, when you look at it, especially as a mental health practitioner, when you look at it deeply, it's not a criminal thing. Suicide is not a thing that's how do I put it? These people are doing it because they don't see any future. Most of them, they don't see any future. They don't see, there's no hope, there's nothing you want to tell them. I was listening to somebody yesterday and he was talking about the increase of suicide, even on social media, where people will be videoing themselves. You would think it is a joke. Yeah, many have started like that, and people thought it was a joke until they fell off inside the whatever, drowned themselves, or they actually committed the suicide, and people now actually saw, oh, it is not a joke. This is actually serious. So it's not a thing to be criminalized. It's a thing to be curbed. It's a thing to massively engage and partner with therapists, mental health practitioners nationwide. All the money that they're using to walk up and down, all these extra monies that the average Nigerian selling corn doesn't even understand how it affects him or her. If this money can be partnered with different organizations and individuals in helping to curb mental health, maybe we can work with local governments and all that. The nation will be better. But you see, one of the reasons why people have mental health issues in Nigeria, Berko, is because of the problem.
Mm.
I'm talking about our own unique. I know it's mental health issue is not a Nigerian thing; it's a global thing. But when you look at the Nigerian context of things,
Yeah.
a lot of the reasons why people come up with this, the people I know, if I look at cases now, person that's gone to psychiatry hospital or different other cases that I know, a lot of this case miracle is money. Money is the problem. Money. Money. That's the problem. Nothing happened. It's not. They are not seeing anything. It's that one money issue came out or the other, and then they just couldn't take it again. Either they left the world or they started, the highest level. It became a psychosis case. So you will back to the matter. If we have to solve a lot of the things in our country without comparing ourselves aimlessly and just feeling like we're doing something because we're doing a few roads, we have to look at what is the cause of all of these problems. And a lot of the cause is the abject poverty that is going on in the land, which I think can be foundationally repaired by three key things. But I will start, the one I will hammer today is the electricity, which I've continued to hammer.
Hmm.
I don't know if people haven't sat down to look at the ripple effect of what's powering the whole nation is going to change. People think a lot of the people that are doing kidnapping job. I shared this with you the last time I was here, Miracle. The kidnapping is not even a 2 million naira. It's not only there are different grades. There's also the one where they kidnap students and they tell the student cosmate look for 2 million naira. And when you get it, they give you back your person because it's now a business. Some
Hmm.
of these people, it is joblessness. This is not to justify it. So if you get them, catch them, arrest them. But the point is, some of these people, it is joblessness. And if you check some of the joblessness, some people want to employ a bit more people, but they cannot employ a bit more people because they've used close to 1 million naira
Hmm.
powering their business with diesel and petrol. So imagine that is cut out. Do you know how many more persons that person can employ in their business with close to 1 million naira?
Hmm.
So we need to look at this thing holistically. And these are the foundation. When people are wondering mental health versus, I'm telling you as a practicing therapist, a lot of people that have problems in Nigeria is the one part of it is money.
Okay.
Part of it, a huge part of it is money. Then we have,
Right.
of course, other issues that also come up as well. So it shouldn't be criminalized
Hmm.
because if it is well on that, I don't know who is, well, I think it's just a suggestion, but because you're sitting down with a practitioner and a professional, nobody's going to give that advice that it should be criminalized.
Yeah. Well, we actually see that, the Criminal Code section of 327 states that any person who attempts to kill himself is guilty of a misdemeanor and is liable to imprisonment for 1 year, while section 231 of the Penal Code states that whoever attempts to commit suicide and does any act towards the commission of such offense shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year or with fine or with both. Now, Adeyemi, just as we wrap up, I'd like to know from you, do you think the focus really should be on, criminalization of, suicide, or rather the government should pull a lot more focus into ensuring that there's a provision of the basic amenities for its citizens? Because, I mean, we get to see that, just as Sage now has said, it's a ripple effect of an economy that is not working for a citizen.
Well, thank you, Miracle.
Mm.
Like we all know, Nigerians, even which has been attributed to Nigeria all over the world, that we are happy people. In the face of adversity, we are still there, jollificating. But as a matter of fact, like Sidney said, and other people like Barrister Osuji also said, that it's all not to be criminalized. But all the same, let's look at it from this perspective. If it is allowed that people continue to take their lives, you know how many people will be doing that on a daily basis.
Mm.
The criminalization is just a way of, deterring people from taking such acts. You see, in the face of whatever problem that we might be going through, like it's been said that at the end of the tunnel, there's always a light.
Mm.
And when we are faced with issues, especially even with this economic recession, it is the right time for every one of us as Nigerians. Yeah, the government has their role to play. But as Nigerians, you see, we can, as a people, in the course of this hardship, discover ourselves and we can be able to make headways. Things are not really palatable. good. We know, yes, like Senate discussed about the electricity, which we know is one of the problems that we have been having. Because if you want any economy to grow, you want your production line to be high, then power sector must be revamped, must be handled, and there must be 24 hours, 7 power supply. But without that, we know that we can't achieve anything. And looking at all other sectors as well. But the truth of the matter is that, look, there is no reason.
Okay.
And I think that's a reason why we have people like Sidney, the therapist,
All right.
that need to speak to the cycle of the people, because talking about this suicide of a thing has to do with the psychological aspect of man.
Yeah.
Because especially when you see that, okay, there are no hopes anywhere, all hope seems lost. She reiterated on money. Money in the sense that when you look at the money we are talking about, it is not the fact that there are not any money. It may be on the ground that maybe they invested some money into some things and, something happened. So they couldn't get the return,
All right.
or the money went down the drain, or they are owing certain people and they
Okay.
realize that, look, no option, that they are tired. These are one of the reasons that most people commit suicide, especially maybe when they are found wanting in certain areas where they are not to be. But all things being said, if the best that the government can do to us, instead of looking at the aspect of criminalization, is for them to make sure that everything works.
Okay.
You
All
see,
right.
if everything works as it is, and people still resorted to killing themselves, then you see sanctions has to be put in place
Okay.
to prevent it.
All right.
That's the honest truth.
Thank you very much, Adeyemi. We have this comment here. This one says from Evangelist Shegun Oyedeji says, "Hi, Miracle. The ministers are coming to sit for exams, so for now we cannot score them. Though they came into a messy trenches with some of them a cup. No one owns life, so no one has the right to take it. But there is too much frustrations around us." This is coming from Destiny from Ikorodu. Says, "Good morning, Miracle, and our wonderful analyst. Miracle, it is worrisome that to know that agencies put in place to fight crimes are the ones committing same crime with impunity. It's only in this part of the world that arrest would be made and his or her phone, a person's phone, will be seized and switched off, rendering them incommunicado with their family, not minding the impact that would have. I see this as legal kidnapping, no matter whose crime. The person is entitled to a lawyer and should be treated as innocent until proven guilty." Thank you very much for your messages this morning. Thank you also to you for listening and joining in on the conversation. Special thanks to our analyst. Thank you so much, Adeyemi Adeolu, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ikechi Emmanuel Lade Signal, for joining us as well.
Thank you, Miracle.
All right.
Thank
So we
you.
return tomorrow to continue with the newspaper review, but stay tuned. It is Women Radio 91.7. I am Miracle Phillip. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Have you been a victim of corruption? Do you want to report how